Good morning. I am Cindy Macha, Director of the Western Museum of Flight here at Torrance Airport. Today, we actually have two pilots for the presidents. We have Carl Burhanan. He also flew 3 presidents. He was co-pilot with Gene for the last flight with President Nixon.
I would like to have Carl Burhanan stand up. Carl had 112 flights as my co-pilot at the White House. Carl, on the 24th of September 1974, flew President Ford with an all-black crew, and it was well received by the White House.
How did you get into the position of flying presidents?
Well, the first CO of the presidential flight for Eisenhower in 1957 was Bill Howe, and he was my CO when I got out of flight school in 1955. And from that time on, when he became the first commander, he actually selected the people that would go into the detachment. I was on orders to go to Germany, and I was actually selected to go, but I said, no, I can go to Washington anytime. I'm from Pennsylvania, about 100 miles from my house to Washington. I said, I can go to Washington anytime. I want to go to Europe and see the Eiffel Tower and things like that I read about in the geography books. What was my tour? I was actually in Vietnam the same time Gene was there. We were both signed to the 1st Cav. That's where that 1st Cav patch came from. The 1st Cav was the first air mobile division in the history of our country. And we had over 400 helicopters there. And Gene was on one side of the airport at On K, which was the 1st Cav headquarters. And I was on the other side of the airport flying the flying crane. And we were there 66 to 67.
What could a flying crane lift? How many pounds?
Well, the flying crane could fly in 2 configurations. We had what we called a pod that looked like a bus that we could attach to it. And without the bus, it weighed about 18,000 pounds. It was one of the few aircraft that could carry more weight than the aircraft weighed. We could carry 44,000 pounds. And it only weighed 18. Primary mission for the crane was to lift everything that no one else could lift. We had a 200-foot steel cable, 2 inches thick. We'd go out in the jungle and pick up a jet like a little toy, and pick up Chinooks that was shot down. But our main mission was to move artillery. The infantry couldn't engage the enemy without artillery support. And we would take the artillery 155 guns into position. We would move the guns in position for all of the divisions in Vietnam. And we only had 4 helicopters in the whole country. And then we would move 3 days worth of ammunition into the site. And then the rest of the time we were moving road graders, making roads and landing strips, and we could actually pick up a D6B bulldozer. This aircraft had so much power, it had the same engine as the 727 aircraft, jet. Of course, we had 2 of these engines, and we actually had more power than we could put into the transmission. We were actually transmission limited on power. We could climb, in fact, the crane still holds the world's record of climb to 0 to 10,000 meters. I could climb with 1 engine, and the rate of climb, the max rate was 6,000 feet a minute. I could put it on 6,000 feet a minute with 1 engine.